The first thing I did after rebirth was plunge both hands into sulfuric acid to burn off every fingerprint. In my last life, my adopted brother killed someone, then planted my fingerprints at the scene, and made me his scapegoat. My parents never sought justice for me. Instead, they lied for him, and led the internet in calling me a killer. On the day I was executed, they took him to an island to celebrate surviving it all. When I opened my eyes again, I was back 1 hour before his murder. This time they would have no lies left to tell. I stood before the whole world in the busiest square on earth, under countless shocked and mocking stares. I stripped off my clothes piece by piece. In the freezing winter air, I danced there almost naked. Countless cameras turned toward me, and a live stream hit over 1 million views. Family, tap that follow button. After the dance ended, I showed them acid hand washing. The live stream comments exploded. Has this guy gone insane? Even chasing views has limits. When I finished the last song, the security guards finally arrived. Move, now. I should send you straight to the police. I smiled and slapped my ID onto one of them. My name is Zhou Yunxuan. My father is Zhou Yunxuan of Zhou Group. My mother is the ballerina Zhou Yunxuan. My brother is Zhou Yunxuan, Jing University's heartthrob. Go ahead and call the police. Go ahead and contact them too. As I spoke, I picked up the acid by my feet. When they saw me open the bottle, the guards were too scared to speak clearly. What are you doing? You can go to prison for hurting people. I ignored him and poured the acid onto the ground, then pressed both hands into it. Strong acid ate into my skin. A burnt flesh smell filled the air. Cold sweat poured from the pain. I nearly collapsed, but the thrill in my heart kept me standing. The crowd had backed 3 meters away. I walked toward the nearest person still live streaming and showed the camera my ruined hands. Through gritted teeth, I said, "Can you see this?" After 5:30, January 12th, I, Zhou Yunxuan, have no fingerprints left. In my last life, 3 hours later, my so-called brother Zhou Yunxuan forced a male classmate onto the roof and pushed him down himself. He prepared gloves with my prints on them and destroyed every nearby camera. Then my parents gave him an alibi and forged evidence that I was the killer. Together, they made me the scapegoat. But now I had made a scene before the world. To make sure my hands were truly ruined, I remembered when Zhou Yunxuan visited me before and said with fake concern, "Brother, I had no choice. Mom and Dad just love me too much. If I went to prison, how heartbroken would they be? So I had to wrong you, brother." So to grant his wish for a family reunion, I had to send all 3 of them to prison. I quietly put on my gloves. In the police room during routine questions, a brutal force grabbed my hair and slammed me to the floor. Right after that, 2 sharp slaps hit my face. "You useless thing. The whole internet is talking about you. You have disgraced the Zhou family." Standing before me were my real parents. Seeing no reaction from me, Zhou Yunxuan grew even more furious. He grabbed my throat and demanded, "Embarrassing yourself was bad enough. Why did you mention your brother's name in the live stream?" Jing Yunxuan's eyes filled with tears. Her gaze on me was full of disappointment. "How did I give birth to someone like you? If Zhou Yunxuan suffers even a little, I will cut all ties as your mother." Without warning, 2 hot tears rolled down my face. I should have given up on them long ago. Yet now my heart felt carved open. Before I turned 5, I was still the young master of the family. But after Zhou Yunxuan was adopted, Zhou Yunxuan and his wife never stood on my side again. When I fought him for a toy as a child, Zhou Yunxuan had me hung up and beaten, then locked in a pitch-black basement. If the kind butler had not fed me secretly, I would have died in that damp basement. From then on, the first half of my life was spent under Zhou Yunxuan's shadow. Whenever he was slightly displeased, at best, I was locked up and punished. At worst, I was beaten into the ICU. When exam scores came out, I got into Jing University. While Zhou Yunxuan barely reached college, I thought I could finally escape. But Zhou Yunxuan used his connections to switch our scores. Zhou Yunxuan's party lasted 3 days and nights, with the whole city invited, while my allowance was cut off, forcing me to work day and night to survive. Then a sharp ringtone. pulled me out of my memories. Zhou Yunxuan's phone screen showed Zhou Shusi calling. Gone was the cruelty she showed me. She answered with a glowing smile, "My good son." What happened? I could not hear his words. But Zhou Yunxuan's face darkened. Her gaze locked on me. She handed the phone to Zhou Yunxuan, then came close to me. Forcing a gentle smile, "Yunxian. What happened just now was our fault. Mom wants to make it up to you. I booked a Sea View hotel. Did you not say you had not eaten with Mom in so long? So it was finally coming. Last life, desperate for family love. I got into their car without hesitation and headed for the Sea View Hotel, but in the end, the car stopped before the building he fell from. Where Zhou Shusi had prepared the perfect trap for me. This time, facing her invitation. I spat blood onto her delicate face. I am not going, I still have dancing to do. Zhou Yunxuan screamed and stood up, ready to curse me. But then something seemed to stop her, and she forced herself to hold it in. "Yunxian, stop acting like a child. Your parents already apologized, right?" As she spoke, she tugged Zhou Yunxuan's sleeve, hinting that he should speak too. I spat blood onto Zhou Yunxuan's face and smiled at him. I said I am not going. Zhou Yunxuan kicked me hard in the chest, sending me flying a meter away. My back slammed into a marble pillar, as if my spine was about to split. "You shameless brat. Someone tie him up and take him to the car." Zhou Yunxuan wiped off the blood in rage and called over 2 bodyguards in black. The officers tried to stop them, but Zhou Yunxuan threatened them. "I have people above me." The 2 bodyguards roughly twisted my arms behind my back, grabbing my hair to shove me into the car. "Put him in the trunk. This fool does not deserve a seat." Fearful memories flooded my mind at once. I started struggling violently. 3 years ago, Zhou Yunxuan and Zhou Yunxuan took Zhou Shusi on a road trip. I begged and pleaded, until they let me ride in the trunk, so I could go with them. But during the whole trip, they seemed to forget I existed, and locked me in the trunk for 3 days. My will to live made me break out. But Zhou Shusi said I damaged his car, and urged them to dump me on the highway. Even now, scars remain on my feet. Let me go. I do not want to go in the trunk, no matter how hard I struggled. The men in black followed Zhou Yunxuan's order, and dislocated both my arms. "Mom, I never wanted a son like you." Zhou Yunxuan shed a few fake tears, then closed the trunk without hesitation. After darkness swallowed me, fear coiled around me like vines. I started breathing in great gulps. My whole body shook uncontrollably. I absolutely could not fail here. If my emotions slipped, Zhou Shusi would surely use it against me. I clenched my teeth and bit hard into my tongue. A sweet metallic taste spread in my mouth. After who knew how long, the trunk was finally opened. A beam of light stabbed my eyelids. Zhou Shusi stood with his arms crossed, looking down at me from above. "How did you end up like this?" The bodyguards threw me roughly to the ground. He stepped on my hand, and slowly ground it with his leather shoe. "If you were not still useful to me, I would never bother with trash like you. Put his arms back in place, and change him into these clothes." At his command, the bodyguards stripped off my clothes, ignoring my furious shouting, and dressed me in the clothes he wore for the crime. Zhou Shusi kicked me in the stomach. "Behave, serving me is your honor." He grabbed my collar and dragged me up the stairs. A full 128 steps left my legs covered in cuts and bruises. "All right, stay here obediently." On the rooftop, I sat where Zhou Shusi had pushed classmate he over the edge. He adjusted his perfectly styled bangs and laughed without restraint. "Peasants are such trouble. Even dead, they still make a mess for me. Without you as my scapegoat, this really would be annoying." I looked up at him, dark fury rolling in my eyes. "Zhou Shusi, you will regret this." He glanced at me without caring. One hand grabbed my hair and smashed my head against the stone floor, while the other dialed emergency services. The instant the call connected, his voice filled with obvious sobs. "Hello? Is this the police? Help, my brother killed someone." At the police station, I sat in handcuffs, with messy hair, on a bench in the hall. 10 minutes earlier, I had just been dragged from the police car when a middle-aged man rushed at me. "Why did you hurt my son? What did he ever do to you? How can you be so vicious?" Jia's mother had red eyes and screamed until her voice broke. The people beside her wanted to tear me apart. A huge fist swung toward my face. "I will make you pay in blood." From beginning to end, Zhou Yunxuan and the other two watched coldly, while adding fuel with every word. Yunxian has been like this since childhood. No matter what we say, he never listens. Look, he even bruised his brother's arm just now. Zhou Yunxuan pulled up Zhou Yunxuan's sleeve, revealing a coin-sized bruise on his pale skin. For such a tiny injury, I had countless marks like it on my body. I roared out loud. "You are lying." Zhou Yunxuan clearly pushed that boy down. "I am just your scapegoat." But Zhou Yunxuan looked deeply wronged. "Brother, how could you say that about me? Mom, Dad, and I saw you kill him. That is undeniable fact. Right now, no one would hear my defense. They only saw me as a brutal murderer. Is that not the guy who stripped and danced? How did he become a killer?" I knew he was crazy. A woman recognized me. She sneakily pulled out her phone and pointed the camera at me. The live stream instantly passed 1 million viewers. The comments were packed with attacks on me. "Everyone, go check the trending list." Zhou Group just released a statement saying they cut all ties with Zhou Yunxuan. Oh my god, people he bullied before are all coming out to expose him. There is more. His parents admitted it themselves. He pushed Jia off the roof. They said they saw it with their own eyes. A killer like him should die. Yes, Zhou Yunxuan should die. Enraged netizens quickly dug up my past and tore me apart online. Some even came all the way here, just to throw rotten eggs and spit at me. The same scene from my last life was playing out piece by piece. Was I truly unable to change my doomed fate? No, impossible. I would never fall into despair again. My fingertips dug hard into my swollen palm. This was my final card. I want to see the officer. Inside the interrogation room, several bright lamps shone on me. 2 officers sat across from me. "Are you ready to confess?" "I am not the killer." One officer, Zhang, met my eyes. "All the evidence now points to you. If you show a good attitude, your sentence may still be reduced." "Officer, the key evidence you have is the fingerprint on Jia's back, right? You still say you are not the killer? How do you know about internal evidence?" The young officer beside Officer Zhang could no longer sit still. He stood and questioned me. I ignored his sharp tone and slowly removed my gloves. "But Officer Zhang, my fingerprints had vanished completely 3 hours earlier. So how could I possibly be the killer?" Seeing my completely ruined palms, Officer Zhang shot to his feet. "What?" The interrogation room lights were pale and harsh, shining on my mangled hands, making the sight even more horrifying. The young officer sucked in a cold breath and stepped back without thinking. Even the seasoned Officer Zhang had his pupils shrink sharply. His face turned grave. "What is going on here? How did your hands get injured? When did this happen?" 5:30 this afternoon, at Central Square. I destroyed my fingerprints with acid myself. Millions online witnessed it. You can check the live stream records now, and the videos filmed by the crowd. The acid completely destroyed my dermis. My fingerprints can never recover. The chain of logic broke apart the moment my key evidence became useless to them. The room fell into deathly silence. The 2 officers exchanged looks, both seeing the shock in each other's eyes. This discovery could overturn the entire case. Quick! Verify it now. Check Central Square's livestream timeline and compare it with the crime timeline. Tell forensics to re-evaluate the fingerprint evidence. Officer Zhang stood up sharply, giving rapid orders to the young officer. Then he sat back down and looked at me with mixed feelings. "Zhou Yunxuan, if what you said is true, then that means my own parents and that dear brother all gave false testimony. The real killer is hiding among them." Just then, someone knocked on the interrogation room door. Another officer poked his head in, his expression strange. Captain Zhang, Zhou Yunxuan, Zhou Yunxuan and Zhou Yunxuan are still outside. They are very worked up and insist we convict him quickly. They also demand harsh punishment for the victim's family. Perfect timing. Take them to separate questioning rooms. Without my permission. No one leaves. After saying that, he turned to me. His tone softened a little, but his eyes still assessed me. Zhou Yunxuan, we will investigate everything you said at once. But before the truth is clear, you are still a key suspect and must cooperate with us. Officer, I request that my condition be recorded and treated the whole time. Officer Zhang agreed right away. On the other side, the three Zhous were taken into separate rooms. Officer, the facts are clear. The evidence is solid. That unfilial son already confessed. Why delay this? He has disgraced our Zhou family. We failed to raise him well and let him commit such a terrible crime. We will compensate the victim's family. Officer, is my brother all right? Is he emotionally unstable? Did he say anything crazy? Do not believe him. He must be stalling to escape guilt. The case is still under review. Please wait patiently and cooperate with us. However, every officer gave them the same answer. Time passed second by second. Even the slow-reacting Zhou Yunxuan sensed something was wrong. Officer, what exactly do you mean? We are witnesses, not criminal suspects. You have no right to keep us here. Please wait patiently. But the guard only repeated, please wait patiently. The police worked extremely fast. The Central Square livestream footage, countless phone recordings from viewers, and witness statements were quickly collected, with precise timestamps extracted. I poured the acid at 5:30 that afternoon, while forensics placed Hejia's death at around 8:30. At the same time, a preliminary exam confirmed fresh severe chemical burns with badly destroyed skin tissue, making it impossible to leave any valid print after the injury. Then forensics re-examined the fingerprint taken from the crime scene. The results came back fast. The print was unusually clear and smooth, missing the pressure changes and natural skin distortion of a real touch. It matched the signs of a transfer made by a thin film or mold. Every piece of evidence pointed toward a shocking conspiracy. Officer Zhang read the preliminary report, his face iron cold. After years on the job, he had seen countless crimes, but using family love this cruelly and framing a biological son and brother with such skill still sent a chill through him. He immediately ordered Zhou Yunxuan as the focus and applied for a search warrant to search the Zhou home and Zhou Yunxuan's belongings for possible materials and tools used to make the fingerprint mold. Next, Zhou Yunxuan was interrogated, facing the police's sudden, intense questioning and one hard proof after another. His mental defense began to crumble. He had never imagined his flawless frame-up would ever be exposed, and never imagined I would ruin my prince before it happened, making all his efforts collapse. I do not know what you mean. The fingerprints are Zhou Yunxuan's. My parents saw it too. Zhou Yunxuan. Zhou Yunxuan's fingerprints were permanently destroyed before the crime. The print at the scene was transferred by a mold. Still refusing to tell the truth? Making fake fingerprints to frame someone is a serious crime, plus intentional homicide. Do you know the consequences? I did not kill him. I was not the one who pushed him. He lost his footing and fell by himself. As soon as he said it, he realized he had slipped. His face turned paper white. Did you not say you saw Zhou Yunxuan push him? Why is it now he fell by himself? Were you at the scene or not? What happened between you and the victim? Under huge pressure and fear, Zhou Yunxuan completely broke down. Crying and rambling, he began to confess. I had an argument with Hejia. He insulted me, so I pushed him once. I really did not mean to kill him. Somehow, he just fell. The fingerprints. The fingerprints were prepared long ago. My mom helped me make them. She said if anything happened, Zhou Yunxuan would take my place. After all, he has good grades. He would succeed someday. But if I was ruined, Mom and Dad's efforts would all be wasted. Yes. Mom and Dad both knew. They taught me all of this. They said to insist it was Zhou Yunxuan. And they would testify for me. Yes, go arrest them. They told me to do everything. I am innocent. You cannot arrest me. The recorder captured every word clearly. The officers outside exchanged shocked looks, feeling disgusted and furious. Almost at the same time, the search of the Zhou family found key evidence. Tools Zhou Shusi used to forge fingerprints but had not destroyed. Chat records where Qin Yunxuan and Zhou Yunxuan planned to frame me, and smear pieces ordered by Zhou Yunxuan's company. When this evidence was placed before Zhou Yunxuan and Qin Yunxuan, their reactions were exactly the same. First, they denied everything, then blamed each other. And finally, under irrefutable evidence and the police's pressure, they collapsed to the floor. I knew nothing about it. I just loved him too much and was deceived by him. Shusi lost his parents young, he was so pitiful. Zhou Yunxuan had everything. What is wrong with yielding to his brother? Who knew this would happen? How could I watch Shusi's life be ruined like that? Every excuse they made was recorded clearly by the cameras before them. And by now, the internet had already erupted. At first, everyone online cursed me. But as time went on, some witnesses from the square posted full videos of the acid hand washing with exact timestamps, and more netizens began to question it. The timing does not match. He lost his prints first. Then the crime happened. His hands are badly injured. No way he left a print. The more you think, the scarier it gets. Was he framed? The Zhou family reacted too fast. Is that how you treat your own son? Looks more like an enemy to me. That adopted son Zhou Shusi is from Jing University. There were videos of him bullying people on the school forum, but they were all suppressed by influence. Public opinion quietly began to turn when inside police details leaked. Especially clips of Zhou Shusi breaking down, and the parents blaming each other, somehow appeared online. The entire internet exploded. Zhou Yunxuan's wrongful case, Zhou Shusi the killer, evil parents, and fingerprint fraud all blasted onto trending searches. Those who cursed me the loudest felt they had been used. Their anger rebounded twice as hard, like a tsunami toward Zhou Group and the family. What kind of beasts do this to their own son? Zhou Shusi, come out and pay with your life. Zhou Group is rotten, go bankrupt. Apologize to Zhou Yunxuan. Zhou Group's stock crashed at market open. Partners canceled contracts one after another. Hit by public outrage and financial losses, their empire began to collapse. When I was carefully brought from the interrogation room to be sent to the hospital for treatment, in the police station hall, I ran into Zhou Yunxuan being escorted out, along with Qin Yunxuan and Zhou Shusi. Demon, you are a demon. You set me up. You will die horribly. But now, the only one facing death is you. Yunxuan, please save your brother. He lost his parents so young, his life is already hard. Now he has to go to prison too. Go beg Hejia's parents. Kneel down and kowtow. Even if they tell you to die, do it. Save Shusi, please. My so-called kind-hearted mother really loved raising a mistress's son. Zhou Shusi is Zhou Yunxuan's son with another woman. Nonsense, Shusi is not my illegitimate son. Do not listen to this bastard's lies. Yes, I am Dad's illegitimate son. You stupid woman, you raised Dad's son for 20 years, while hurting your own child at every turn. You are unbelievably stupid. Qin Yunxuan screamed, then lunged at Zhou Yunxuan and fought him, while grabbing Zhou Shusi's hair too, and smashing him against the floor. After they finished fighting, I leaned close to the three of them and whispered, "Do you know why I destroyed my fingerprints in advance? Because I am a vengeful ghost reborn with 2 lives of hatred. Here to collect all 3 of your lives. Zhou Yunxuan jerked his head up, staring at me in terror. As if seeing his son clearly for the first time. Zhou Yunxuan seemed drained of every bit of strength and collapsed, sobbing helplessly, while Zhou Yunxuan still screamed curses. I did not look at them again, and walked step by step toward the police station doors. Outside, reporters had packed the entrance, their flashes bright as daylight. But this time, the cameras were no longer pointed at a killer or a madman. They were pointed at a victim who had been cruelly framed, and cleared his name with desperation. Morning sunlight broke through the clouds, falling on my pale but calm face. My revenge had only just begun. The law would judge their crimes, and public opinion and fate would not be absent. Zhou Yunxuan was heavily sentenced for intentional injury, forging evidence and false accusation. Zhou Yunxuan and Zhou Yunxuan went to prison for perjury, sheltering a criminal, and helping destroy and forge evidence. Zhou Yunxuan also faced extra charges for business fraud and market manipulation. Zhou Group declared bankruptcy and became history. My methods were extreme, but there was a reason. And I caused no serious public harm, so under public sympathy, I received a lighter penalty. Nothing compared with the crimes of those 3. With my own hands and one mad dance, I tore apart the net they had woven, and finally welcomed my new life. In my last life, they were smiling. In this life, they will rot in prison. I suppose fate really does turn, and karma never misses. From now on, I will live bright and free, never covered by darkness again.